The winner of a game is oftentimes decided by more than just the actions of the game itself. Skill and luck certainly play a major factor, but a game between two people sometimes comes down to mental fortitude and who can take advantage of the other's lack thereof. Yeah, sometimes it's calculating, sometimes it's cunning, sometimes it's flat out dishonorable, but mind games add some spice to how games can unfold. In this list, we'll count down the top 10 mind games from the duels in the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters.
And this in defense. Whoa. My mistake. Just forget what you saw.
At number 10, we have the king of cheaters, Bandit Keith, who during his duel with Joey in the Duelist Kingdom semifinals, drops Zoa, which causes it to briefly appear on the duel field. Bandit Keith immediately picks it up, shrugs it off with a smug "my mistake," then proceeds to set a monster, which Joey takes to be Zoa. Keith does this because he needs to force Joey out of his defensive strategy, which Joey is using because he doesn't have a way around Bandit Keith's machine monsters, which are impervious to magic attacks. Yeah, I know we're getting into the D&D aspects of Duelist Kingdom, but when Joey briefly sees Zoa appear on the field, he realizes that's not a machine monster. So what does he do? Go on the offensive, and Keith has him hook, line, and sinker. The moment Flame Swordsman attempts to take out Zoa, Keith uses Metamorph to change it into a machine monster, granting it the same protection against magic attacks and taking out Flame Swordsman, along with a few hundred of Joey's life points. It's the oldest trick in the book that the likes of Yugi could see coming, but it works flawlessly when used by a veteran against a rookie.
To attack or not to attack?
Bring on your assault, Mai.
At number 9, the Pharaoh sets a bluff which Mai takes to be a trap, foregoing her attack. This is a very realistic scenario where we need to put on our best poker face by setting a useless card in an attempt to survive another turn. In this case, the Pharaoh even goes so far as to tell Mai to attack him, but her reading of his face prompts her to err on the side of caution. Thing is, this bluff is the literal difference between a win and a loss for Mai, as had she attacked, she would have won the game. While nowadays it's very easy to recoup card advantage even after playing into traps, in the early days of the game, it's a neat little reminder that there's more to winning than just who has the best cards. For the Pharaoh, the extra turn allows him to recover. Literally, because that bluff is Monster Recovery, which then gets him Mystical Elf, which buys him another turn against Shadow of Eyes that gets him into Swords of Revealing Light, which buys him 3 more turns to get into Black Luster Soldier. And it all started with that first bluff.
What do you think you're doing?
Divining my card. I have to mystically choose which one of them's the best.
Eh? What are you, a psychic?
At number 8, Mai uses various perfumes to predict her cards, psyching out her opponents by making them think she's psychic. The ploy here is to preoccupy her opponent's thoughts on working out her trick, or better yet, making them lose hope having to go up against a duelist who can predict her cards. It's a strong enough mind game to defeat Rex on the boat and almost does the trick on Joey until he sees, or rather smells, through it. While this mind game doesn't pan out for Mai and we see a similar mind game employed by Esperoba in Battle City, both which happen to come at Rex's expense, I gotta give her credit for the ingenuity as well as her nose's ability to pick out 40 different smells.
Recognize anyone?
Yugi! But how?
I control the souls of your companions, remember?
Let them go!
Attack my knights and you'll be attacking your friends.
At number 7, Dart summons the Mirror Knights with the likeness of Yugi, Joey, Pegasus, and Mai, which causes the Pharaoh to be gun-shy and taking down the monsters out of fear that destroying them will prevent them from recovering their souls. This fear petrifies the Pharaoh to the point that he's almost useless for the turns the Mirror Knights are out and would have won Darts the game. Fortunately, as the president of a major corporation, Kaiba has no qualms with taking out innocent souls and dismantles the Mirror Knights in methodical fashion, proving that it was indeed a mind game by Darts and that no souls were harmed in the destruction of the Mirror Knights.
Can you feel them drifting slowly away from you, disappearing into the light, fading from the chasms of your mind, the wells of your heart?
Wait! Come back, please!
At number 6, Marricks' psychological warfare against Mai, wherein every monster of hers he destroys erases a memory of one of her friends from her mind. Out of all the tricks and shadow games Marricks uses throughout Battle City, this in my opinion ranks among the cruelest as he slowly eats away at Mai by using her greatest fear, loneliness, against her. While Mai has put on a tough front after feeling jilted by Joey, Marricks knows she still longs for his friendship as well as with the others. So as the duel wears on, not only must Mai play through a shadow game, but through the pain of seeing her greatest fear realized. This culminates in Marricks trapping Mai in an hourglass where she must watch her friends enjoy the beach while she drowns in sand. It is far and away the cruelest mind game used. My only reason for not ranking it higher is that it has little to do with Mai's performance in the duel, because had Ra not had ancient chant shenanigans, Mai wins the duel despite the immense psychological pressure.
I pick your left hand.
Are you sure? I mean, really sure?
At number 5, Joey forces Johnson into an arduous decision. The final moment of this duel goes to show that there's more to Joey's winning ways than luck. Arduous decision forces Johnson to pick one of 2 cards Joey has picked from the top of his deck. If he selects a monster, it'll be summoned. If he picks the spell, they'll both hit the grave and Joey will lose. Sounds like 50-50, right? Well, the luck actually doesn't pan out as Johnson does select the spell, but Joey's "Are you sure?" and coy smile are enough to convince the lawyer to renege on his original decision and go with the other card, allowing Joey to summon Goblin Attack Force and go for game. So while Arduous Decision may be a 50-50 card on paper, Joey's mind games allow him to tilt the odds in his favor.
But what about your friend Loomis? Me? Yes, Loomis. Don't you wonder what would have happened had my Blue Eyes White Dragon attacked you instead of Umbra? Would he have protected you with his magic card?
At number 4, Kaiba mind games Loomis twice.
I was wondering whether you'd have the guts to challenge my Blue Eyes White Dragon, and now I know. Know what? That you're all talk and no action. Only a coward would take the easy way out, instead of flexing his muscles and attacking my monster.
First is driving a stake between Loomis and Umbra by taunting if Umbra would have used his Mask of Impregnability to protect Loomis had Kaiba attacked him instead. Second is convincing Loomis to attack his Blue Eyes with Descardius rather than attacking the Pharaoh. Kaiba does this by basically telling Loomis that he'll regret leaving Blue Eyes out even though he has no real discernible way of getting over Descardius. Kaiba coming to the Pharaoh's rescue is significant for 2 reasons. First, if Loomis went through with his attack on the Pharaoh would lose and plummet to his Shadow Realm. Second, it comes as a surprise olive branch by a guy who would rather go bankrupt than have to admit that he needs help to defeat the masked duo. But that's exactly what this duel is all about. Loomis and Umbra taking the lead because of their teamwork and the lack thereof between Kaiba and the Pharaoh, and then the latter two making a comeback by resolving to work together while also pitting Loomis and Umbra against each other.
I've already destroyed the only 2 monsters you summoned, leaving you without a single monster to guard against a direct attack. The only thing stopping my monsters is your Swords card, a weak and temporary shield.
At number 3, the Pharaoh convinces Seeker to summon a piece of Exodia. After seeing Seeker use several draw cards, the Pharaoh deduces that Seeker is attempting to assemble Exodia, and while Life Force Sword buys him some time by temporarily banishing a piece from Seeker's hand, Seeker reveals that he doesn't even need to wait for the time to lapse because he has 3 copies of each piece in his deck. The Pharaoh uses this knowledge to his advantage by bringing to Seeker's attention that he has enough attack on board to end the game the moment Swords of Revealing Light elapses. He even specifically calls out the weakness of an Exodia deck is the lack of field presence due to needing to keep the pieces in hand. This goads Seeker into summoning a piece to bolster his defenses, but that's exactly what the Pharaoh was hoping for. The moment Seeker summons the head of Exodia, the Pharaoh uses Chain Destruction to rip away the remaining 2 pieces from Seeker's hand and deck, preventing him from assembling Exodia to achieve his win condition. It isn't Dark Magician, Blue Eyes, or even the Egyptian gods that can stop the most unstoppable force in Duel Monsters. Rather, it is the Pharaoh's mind games to stop the Forbidden One before he can even be called.
You don't trust me, Panic? Believe it or not all duelists are lying dogs like you. And to prove it, I'll show you. After all, I wouldn't want you thinking I was some kind of liar. The Swords of Revealing Light! And of course, the card that will make you see the light.
At number 2, the Pharaoh convinces Panic he set Swords of Revealing Light. The Pharaoh draws swords for his turn and reveals it to Panic, claiming that this trump card will dispel the darkness Panic has cast. He then proudly declares to have set a card, to which Panic immediately summons Reaper of the Cards to target that set card and destroy it, which it would if it was a spell. Instead, the Pharaoh has set Spellbinding Circle, trapping the Reaper to later be used as a shield against another one of Panic's attacks. The mind games don't stop there though, as throughout the entire duel the Pharaoh is mocking Panic for his scare tactics as a pathetic attempt to hide his own cowardice. He even goes so far as to claim he will defeat Panic in 5 turns. All these words cause a growing panic within Panic, leading to misplays and poor strategies that the Pharaoh is able to exploit en route to delivering on his promise to end the game in 5 turns. Mai, Bakura, and the rest are astonished not by the Pharaoh's dueling skill, but by how he uses his words as his greatest weapon during this duel.
Your move, Yugi. You can attack my blue eyes again and wipe out my remaining life points. But if you do, the resulting shockwaves might cause me to lose my balance.
Don't tempt me!
My fate is completely in your hands, Yugi.
The honorable mention goes out to a moment that you may consider a mind game, but personally I consider more of a heart game, which is Kaiba threatening to jump off the castle if Yugi goes through with his Celtic Guardian's attack on the rotting Blue Eyes ultimate. I figured a number of folks may consider this on their list, but like I said, I liken this less to a mind game and more to an ultimatum wherein the Pharaoh and Yugi must decide in their heart what is the right thing to do. Save Yugi's grandpa, or not test Kaiba's threat of jumping. At the very least, it is an immensely emotional moment and a dual scale agnostic move that enables Kaiba to nab the win.
Why play that card?
Oh, you're right. What could I have been thinking? The Dark Magician has an attack power of 2,500. And Garuzi's only has an attack strength of 1,800.
Yes?
I guess you have no choice but to attack Garuzi's.
And then there's the dishonorable mention. Joey attempts to mind game the Pharaoh into revealing which hat conceals the Dark Magician. Joey has managed to summon Black Skull Dragon, but the winning attack is dodged by the ever-reliable magical hats. Joey does his best to convince the Pharaoh to reveal the mage by summoning Garuzi's in attack mode, and an all-too-obvious, "Whoopsies, I made a misplay, guess you should make me pay for it," that the Pharaoh smartly dismisses. What's ironic is the mind game backfires as Joey gets into his own head with this little number.
But what if he knows that I would think that, so it really is a trap card? Except if he knows that I know that he knows what I know.
Keep on trucking, Joey.
How would you know? I heard your memories were erased. If that's true, how do you know you weren't an evil Pharaoh?
That can't be.
And taking the #1 spot on the list is Raphael goading the Pharaoh into playing the Seal of Orichalcos. This is peak mind game because Raphael turns the king of mind games into the sap of mind games. Over the course of the entire duel, Raphael chips and chips away at the Pharaoh's resolute mind, from the starting moments when he declares right off the bat that he will not be the one playing the Seal of Orichalcos, to mocking the Pharaoh's self-righteous sense of justice, to even taking advantage of the fact that the Pharaoh has no memories and asking him if he can even be sure he was a good Pharaoh. Raphael claims that all humans have darkness in their heart, and after giving the Pharaoh the seal with exchange, Raphael teases the Pharaoh into playing the seal to prove that it won't take control of him through his inner darkness, knowing full well that the Pharaoh's desire to win will prompt him to play the card when his back is against the wall. All this talk leads to the Pharaoh activating the seal, which accomplishes 3 things for Raphael. First is to destroy Timaeus. Second is to amplify the darkness within the Pharaoh, which causes him to launch all his monsters with Catapult Turtle. And the third is, of course, winning the Pharaoh's soul upon his defeat, or as it turns out, Yugi's. Raphael's deep understanding of his opponent allows him to prey on the Pharaoh's 2 weak points, his unwillingness to lose and his pride that the Orichalcos won't affect him. And it is the knowledge of both these things that allowed this mind game to hand the Pharaoh his first legitimate defeat up to this point and take the top spot as the best mind game from Duel Monsters. So that does it for this list of top 10 mind games from the original series. Comment below your thoughts and what are some other mind games you enjoyed throughout the show. And if you're as big a fan of Yu-Gi-Oh! As you claim to be, make sure you subscribe to this channel. What? Do I look like a guy who'd mind game you?